guys, what is up? This is Kazi from cleverprogrammer.com and you're watching Codecademy part 11. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get started. Also, see what I did there? I was referencing 11 from the movie or the show Stranger Things. That sucks if you didn't get it, because I was wondering about how I'm going to solve this problem of counting past more than 10 fingers, and that was a solution that came to my head. I thought it was pretty witty. If you liked it, comment on it. Alright, a day at the supermarket. We're at 84%, so let's keep going, okay? Stocking out. Now you need to compute bill function to take the stock inventory and something. Okay, I'm not going to read that. Too much reading. Make the bill function changes to your compute function bill. Hold on. Actually, let's read it. Function to take the stock / inventory of a particular item into account when computing the cost. Ultimately, if an item isn't in stock, then it shouldn't be included in the total. You can't buy or sell what you don't have. Totally makes sense. Make the following changes to your compute bill function. Let's do that. While you loop through each item of food, only add the price of the item to total if the item stock count is greater than 0. So I'm going to say for item in food, and I'm going to say if, let's create a variable here called price. Or sorry, we don't have to actually create a variable. We can just say if stock of that item is greater than 0, then this part happens. So I hit tab to indent that. You can also just do this, simply backspace all the way up to the colon, hit enter, and it will do that for you. Don't forget your colons. After every for loop, definition, and if statement, you have a colon. Alright, because that's kind of like defines the things that you're indenting under that, and that becomes a block of that code, right? So if this function, you don't indent anything underneath it, now it's not, the total is actually not part of the DEF. It's actually going to give you an error in this case. So you want to make sure that it's indented, so you're saying these pieces of code, they go together. It's a block of code. Okay, so if the item stock is greater than 0, that's the only time we actually increment the cost of total by the price of the item. That totally makes sense, because you can't sell what you don't have. So, right, it would not make sense if we went to Apple, which had a stock of 0, but you went up and looked up the prices and incremented the prices of total by 2, right? That would not make much sense. So that's why you want to have this check here. And that way, if you get Apple, right, you get Apple right here, this part evaluates to 0, and therefore, this part right here does not turn into Apple and evaluate to prices of Apple, which is 2, and you get back 2, and then this turns into 2, right? So that checks that if statement that we wrote, that creates a check that stops that from happening. If the item is in stock and after you add the price to the total, subtract 1 from the item stock count. Now think about it. If we're trying to compute the bill and our customer, or let's say that you own a restaurant, right? And I come to your restaurant, and your restaurant has tremendously extravagant foods such as a banana, apple, orange, and pear. So let's say you sell me one of those things. So you go, sir, for your entree, we have 2 bananas, and for your appetizer or whatever, or your dessert, we have 2 oranges. Well, after you compute the cost of the bill, you wouldn't still have 6 bananas left. You would now have 4 bananas left. And you wouldn't have 32 oranges left. You gave me 2 oranges, so now you have 32 minus 2, so you have 30 oranges left. So you have to take that into account. So in this case, on line 22, when we increment the price, we should also, what's the opposite of increment? Decrement. We should decrement the stock. So we should decrement the quantity of that food in our stock dictionary. Does that make sense? Okay, if it doesn't, we'll do it right now. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna say that item's value, right? What are we decrementing? We're decrementing the value of those items, right? So if we have banana, we're going to decrement its value. Well, to change the value, we need to access it using the dictionary's key. So here I'm going to use the dictionary stock, and then I'm going to use the key item to access the 6, and I'm going to say minus equal 1, which is the same as saying is equal to stock of item minus 1. Got it? And let's just go through an example, because examples are awesome and something that professors and teachers of such courses love not to give. They're like, theoretically understand all of this in your head, but it's not as easy to understand it all in your head. And I bet you that they didn't either. They had trouble with it. But for some reason, they take pride in the theoreticness of all of this, right? The conceptualization of all of this. So we should stay away from that. Work on tangible examples so you can get this, okay? So let me give you a basic tangible example here. Let's take that shopping list, the same list, right? But I'm gonna actually take that exact list so it's easy for you to see what's going on. I'm gonna pretend like I'm calling the compute bill function here. I'm gonna pass in that particular dictionary, or I'm sorry, the list, banana, orange, apple. So let's go here. That list is gonna get passed to food. Now we come to total, and what's gonna happen is for item in food, well, food is just that list that we passed in. And for item, it's going to be banana the first time. It's going to say if the stock of the banana, right? This is going to be replaced by banana. This part is going to evaluate to what? What is this part going to evaluate to? It's really good to run through your code tangibly with actual examples so you can follow and see how the algorithm is actually working. Stock of banana is going to give you the value 6. Right, so dictionary stock, key, banana, this is going to give you 6. Is 6 greater than 0? Yes, it is. This part goes boom, it evaluates to true. We get to line 22. Now, our total is incremented by the price of that item. So this turns into banana, because remember, we're looping through and item was banana. So everywhere we see item, it's now banana, right? Now on line 22, prices of banana evaluates to what? 4, right? If we look in our prices dictionary, now total is incremented by 4, total is at 4. Stock of banana is decremented by 1. So what that effectively means is now in our stock, we have 6 minus 1, which is 5 bananas left. Okay, then the loop happens again. This time it's orange, right? This time it's orange, and it goes, hey, if stock of the item is greater than 0. So our item is orange, and stock of orange is actually 32. This statement is 32 is greater than 0. This is true. So what happens here? This is incremented by the price of the item, right? So what's the price of an orange? This part gets evaluated to the price of the orange, which is 1.5. So now we have 5.5 up here. And this part also gets orange right here. This part is evaluated to stock of orange. Again, 32 minus 1. So stock of items value should now be set to 31. So it goes all the way up to stocks and set this to 31. And it goes on one more time, but as you can see, I'm not going to go through the code of what happens, but you can effectively see that once it gets to Apple, it realizes that the stock of that item, which is Apple, is 0. This part gets evaluated to 0 is greater than 0. This turns into false. Well, I actually did end up going through the code. And the lines 22 and 23 do not execute because if condition is false, and ultimately also the for loop goes back. It goes back to the for loop. It realizes that was the last one, so the for loop ends. It comes to the last line, return total, which in our case is 5.5. That's the answer we should get. Now, we have ran through it in our head, which is what we should always do. But now what we're gonna do is run through it in our REPL.it, and we're gonna print out what it does. Oh, I didn't define what stocks and prices is, so it's gonna go crazy. It's gonna be like, what are you talking about? I have no idea. You're a crazy person, get away from me. Okay, you saw we got 5.5, right? That's what I had written down. So yeah, run through the algorithms in your head first, and then once your head is exploding and you're like, oh, my muscles are being flexed of my brain, that means that you're learning. That means that you're actually improving. That's the only time you're improving. A lot of the times in conceptual things like programming, when your brain muscles are stretching and they're kind of hurting, and it's almost like they're growing. You're growing new muscles. So that's it for stocking out. Hold on, stock doesn't look quite right. Make sure the call bill, make sure to not call compute bill since it changes. Oh, okay, so I'm calling the function here and I should not be calling it. Okay, so we are done. Oh man, we got some kind of achievement, but I skipped it. So hooray, we got some achievement. And if you're watching the video, maybe you can pause it at that exact frame and see what the achievement was and let me know in the comments. I have no idea what it was, and I'm sad that I missed it. Okay, we're almost done with the day at the supermarket. Let's check it out. Save and submit. Congratulations, we have finished that course. A day at the supermarket. We have earned a new badge. Let's go back to the course page. We're done with 42% of it. That's really good news. As you can see, rock, papers, and scissors. And this is really funny because somebody in the comments, right, Failbug, he's our very loyal fan. Failbug asked what project I should work on, and just instinctively, with what we have done, I told him right at the top of my head, work on rock, paper, scissors. And that tells you how good of a teacher I am, because that's exactly what they're asking you, right? Rock, papers, and scissors. I don't like to brag, but hey, I'm gonna take credit when it's due. So even, these people with millions of users and all these professional curriculum developers, even they're like, yep, rock, paper, scissors is the next step. So sure, if you want to pay, go ahead and click upgrade now and try it. But what I would recommend, honestly, is you can start working on it in REPL.it, which is a really simple way to do it. Or you can download some kind of Python installer, which I'll cover in videos once Codecademy series is over. So you can do it right there. And then you can paste it in the comments and I'll help you out if you get stuck. Okay? So next part is a pretty big part where student becomes a teacher. I'm gonna keep that as its own separate video probably, which is why you can see that Unit 6 is an entity in itself. This is gonna be amazing part because you get to learn how classes work. This is the part where you can do some really powerful stuff. I mean, already with what you know, you can do pretty much anything. You can do a lot of powerful things already. But after this section, you learn even more powerful things, okay? This section will teach you, after this, you can even start making, I'm not saying you can make the best graphics in the world. That's a skill in its own, but the logic behind games like Street Fighter and fighting games. So you can use text-based fighting for now, and you can create games where when somebody attacks the other guy, their health gets depleted, or you can loot items, and then it increments your level of gold in your inventory, and you can buy things. And when you buy things, it decrements the amount of gold that you're currently carrying. So there are a lot of things that you can start to do, even in up until what you did so far, and especially when we get to Unit 6. That's it for now. A lot of talking from me. I'm sorry about that. Please subscribe to the channel. It really helps out. Again, we have broken past 100 subscribers, which is great, but our goal is to keep going up so we can help more people out in the community who are looking for programming help and generally just something fun that's not boring, that you dread when you watch those programming videos. So we're trying to spread the word. Like the video if you liked it. If you need any help, please comment below, and I or somebody else who is really nice will help you out. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in Codecademy Part 12. Okay, take care.